Hey everybody, welcome back to our special little meeting of the minds, shall we say, here. I'm Brett from Spear Factor, and we have John from Cast and Spear, Brad from the OC Spearos. We have Diane Huff, who some of you may know her, some of you may not, but her husband died in a spearfishing accident last year, and we really have her on and bring attention to what she's doing, trying to take a negative and turn it into a positive, and hopefully save more lives, or at least make diving safer as best as we can. So welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Diane,
we were joking that this was like the triumvirate of some SoCal spearfishing communities. It's pretty cool to have all of us here together at the same time. And by the way, you don't overlook Diana is an OC Spearo as well. So
okay.
Yeah.
She's gonna be the lobster queen as of season
I'm working
opener.
on it. I'm getting there.
October 3rd, she'll get her chance.
October 3rd is my birthday too, so it's gonna be quite a year.
Awesome.
Nice. That's legit. That's awesome. Diane, do you want to get started? Tell your story, and then also, a little bit about what you're trying to do.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, first, thank you for having me. And I'm excited to tell a little bit about Ryan and all the good that's going to happen from his tragedy. But let's see, Ryan was always an adventure guy. He did everything from ice hockey to bow hunting. I'm leaving out a million things, paintballing and golf and just any hobby you could have. He was into it. And about 4 years ago, we went to Kauai, and he got a 3-prong, was out with his dad and my brother-in-law, and he was hooked. I mean, he got a little manini, I think his first fish. And I remember he got a few of them, and we went back and made the tiniest fish tacos. But ever since coming back from Kauai, when we got back to California, he was hooked. I mean, right away, he sold his motorcycle. He did all of this stuff so that he could get as much fishing gear as possible. And so from that point on, I mean, lobster opening day was untouchable for me. He ended up getting a fishing boat. I mean, he was in it, and just his love of the ocean. I mean, he grew up kind of over by Lake Mead. He grew up in Utah for a little while and did a lot of snowboarding, and he's always loved the ocean. We had a big reef tank at home for a long time. And but once he was in it, and for him to be able to catch the food and bring it home, he was so excited. And I didn't mind the lobster or, the sashimi either. So, but on September 28th last year, so opening day, he left in the morning and he didn't come home. And, just probably every wife's biggest fear when their husband's doing something, that it involves maybe slightly more risk than, your average, golfing. I wish he stuck to golfing sometimes. But, he left at about 4:15 in the morning. They were going to get out to Laguna. They wanted to be in the water at 6 a.m. right when it started. And one of the dive partners was sick and couldn't go. So there was 3 of them together. And they've been diving together for the last 3 years. And I got a call at about, I think it was 6:54. And I missed it at first. I was asleep. And then I called back a few minutes later just saying something's wrong. What do you mean something's wrong? My initial reaction, I thought, oh, he probably banged himself up against the rocks. He needed stitches. He was in the hospital for stitches all the time. And I was annoyed initially. I'm like, oh, I got to get up. I've got to go down there. And I had no idea. I had no idea what I, was into. He was a very athletic, capable guy. He took this sport seriously. He was certified, and he was really good at what he did. I mean, Ryan and my 2 sons would practice breath holds in the jacuzzi in our backyard. It would drive me nuts because all 3 of their heads are under the water for long periods of time. And my little 3-year-old's going, they still do that and scare me. But so on my way to Laguna, I had to go to Mission Hospital. I heard that he was unresponsive. And when I heard that, I knew something was really wrong because, Ryan was MacGyver. He could get out of any situation. He was really, really talented. And I'm thinking, there's no way that wouldn't happen to him. But, when I got down to the hospital and, they let me know that they just said, his heart wasn't beating when he got here. We couldn't do anything. And, just everything changed in that moment. It was intense. I almost didn't believe it at first. I'm thinking, no way. But through all of this, I mean, my initial thought, I kiss him goodbye in the morning and I see him, you know, cold and blue a few hours later. It's just unreal. But I knew immediately that good needed to come from this. I couldn't, he's not going to die and then it just goes away as some sad, tragic story. I wanted to enhance his love of the ocean for my kids. I want them to grow up with the ocean, as he intended. And I think people they really need to know the situation and understand, just have that risk on the forefront of their mind. I know that, there are many ways to mitigate the risk, which is, kind of what we are here to discuss a bit along with our memorial fund. But yeah, I want people to learn from this incident, and whether he did things right or he did things wrong, I think it needs to be out there. And I knew that from day one. So I'm so happy to get to meet up with you guys and that I've become an OC Spiro. And I'm going to get certified as well. And I'm going to learn how to do it so that I can teach my kids, also so that I can be a part of this initiative. And I'm lucky to have the Spearos backing me up so that we can make a lot of good happen from this.
My condolences first and foremost. And I wanted to say, I really do appreciate how strong you are to be able to face and go headstrong right into what, took his life, and then do it for yourself and then inspire your children to do it as well. I think that's huge and shows your character.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely. Likewise. That was the first thing I actually was impressed with. Excuse me, hearing you talk, having been around people before that have lost. I mean, definitely for you to be strong and face the reality and then do something positive with it says a lot to your character. So
thank you. Thank you. It's a lot. I mean, that's how Ryan was. And I thought from the get-go, I need to honor his legacy. And I mean, he was the kind of guy, I mean, definitely, I mean, he pushed things. I mean, he had his lobster limit and he saw a sheephead. He's like, I want lobster dinner and ceviche sheephead. I know that's what he was thinking. I know exactly what he was thinking. He saw one, he's like, I'm going to get that too. And that's how he was. And he always was successful. I mean, well, 9 times out of 10. So, but thank you very much. And yeah, like I said, it's for my kids and it's for him because, he was a strong, positive guy just like that.
So Diane, we do really appreciate your story, and you're going to start this fund. So I'm really curious, Brad, what is this fund that you guys are working together on?
Yeah. So when Ryan passed, and talking with Diane, one thing she kept saying is that she wanted to remain in the community and she wanted to be involved, as in Ryan's memory, just to sort of help keep that alive within her, keep his memory alive. And so as a club, we were trying to think of ways to make good out of a very bad situation. And, it's always been a personal goal of mine. I mean, we've all talked before on both of your podcasts about how important safety is to me and how I've been trying to bring, as a director of the OC Spearos, been trying to instill that in the club. And so then I started thinking, as I was at Spear America, I'm there often, and every, you can tell when there's a new guy or a more salty guy or girl, and all the new people, when they're saying, oh, what kind of, should I buy those $700 fins, and should I buy this $2,000 gun? And my answer is always, no, you should go buy that FII course, or, you should go find a PFI course. It'll change your world. And, it's, the response is always, yeah, I will. And then they see the price and they're like, oh, I can't afford that. And then they buy their $2,000 gun and their $700 fins and they go along their way. And so that always really sort of stuck in my mind. Like, how can we solve this problem? And knowing Diane's desire to stay in the community, stay in the group, stay associated with the OC Spearos, I thought, well, what a perfect opportunity to take that financial barrier away from people, especially the newer divers, and and replace it with, you no longer have an excuse. Here you can come take this course, or you now actually have the ability to take this course even though you may have a financial hardship. So we created the OC Spearos Ryan Huff Memorial Scholarship Fund as a means to support that. It is primarily a need-based fund. So we have an application process that will ask questions about why can't you just pay for this on your own? And really that is to support our local instructors. We understand that our local instructors do it, many of them do it, not necessarily as their primary source of income, but definitely as a necessary source of income. So we don't want to take away from that pool of people who could afford it anyways and keep the instructors, financially viable. If they're not making any money, they're not going to be able to continue teaching and keep bringing the safety information to our region. But we do want to be able to get those people that could never have afforded it anyways still through the course. So we set a goal this year that before the end of the year to do everything we can to raise $5,000 to support that. We set up a GoFundMe, and we've already raised somewhere just over $2,000 there through generous donations throughout the spearfishing community, our own personal networks. We've had tons of shares, social media shares of it throughout the community. So as that word spread, we got lots of donations for that. Diane and Fernando Gutierrez will be working on interfacing with the club's huge network of sponsors for donations that we can then bring in to either auction or raffle. And we currently have a raffle scheduled for November 5th for products that they're going to be bringing in. And all of this is to raise that money to get people certified.
How many people can be certified with the 5,000 goal?
Well, yeah. So if you were to take the retail value, which is it's like $350, $375, I think. And then when you put on top of that, the trip to Catalina, that's another $75. It's $425. So you would think somewhere in the 10 to 15 person range. But at the same time, in addition to raising funds, we're working directly with the certifying agencies and the instructors and working with them to push the price down. And so as of right now, we've had three of the Orange County instructors have each donated a full course at their cost, which is 8 students per instructor. So there's 24 students there. We have a Long Beach instructor who has donated 4 seats in a class, and a San Diego instructor who's donated 4 seats in a class for the same structure, basically to cover their costs. Diane, grabbed the bull by the horns and she called the Catalina Flyer, and even the Catalina Flyer generously cut their price in half. So ultimately what this gets down to is, once it's all said and done, we have 32 spaces at essentially break-even cost for everybody who has to come out of pocket. And to cover those 32 spaces, we need to raise somewhere north of $3,800 to pay for all those. So we're very close. We're on our way. And with a goal of $5,000, we should be somewhere there just over, or in the mid 40s, being able to support that many divers that couldn't have gotten that class before.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, when you consider our community as a whole is pretty tiny, and our community is what we make of it. And we all step together and take care of each other. That's pretty awesome. I mean, 24 classes. And then, you said the Catalina Flyer cut in half. That shows you just how tight our community is. It's pretty, I like to applaud the whole community for that. That's pretty awesome. And if someone wanted to donate, and give to this cause, what are the different, how they do it, how they get more involved, I guess.
Diane, why don't you tell them about the t-shirts that you've created? That's one source that they could do.
Yeah. So Ryan lived in his anything spear related shirts. Spear America was on repeat. A few others. He loved anything with ocean stuff on it, and that's all he would wear. And at one point he said, we should do some shirts or something. It was like a casual conversation. And once this got started and the idea for the fund came up, I thought, I want to contribute personally. Luckily I have Ryan's brother is in the clothing industry. So we kind of put our heads together and came up with a t-shirt company called 779 Spear Co. And it's a few different designs, inspired by Ryan. And it's going to launch hopefully on Monday. And all the proceeds from that will go to the Memorial Scholarship Fund. So whatever that brings in, we'll go straight to that. And there's also the GoFundMe, which directly just goes straight to the OC Spearos, and we'll be donating towards that. And then the raffle on November 5th will also, as I contact sponsors, and people donate different items that we can raffle off and auction off, all of that money will also go to the same scholarship fund. So it's going to come in from a few different directions, and I think it's going to go really well.
Yeah, the OC Spearos is, we're run and operated by 100% volunteer work. So none of the directors, none of the committee members, nobody gets a dime out of the club. So 100% of the funds that we raise go to the initiatives that we're doing. So everybody can rest assured that this is strictly for the fund. Everything that you're donating, aside from Visa or MasterCard or PayPal, who's going to wet their beak, everything else is going directly into this fund.
Now, is this only open to OC Spearos, or anybody in any club or anybody who's doing spearfishing in Southern California or California?
No, this is an OC Spearos only initiative. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're a 501c3 nonprofit. So everything that we do to support the community and the club is done from donors. So our members are basically our main donors. So yes, we do want to get you this, the certifying level, but if you're not already a member, we still need that support to operate. We need that membership fund to be able to operate, to be able to give you that opportunity. Without that, we don't exist at all to be able to create something like this.
For those who don't know, how do they sign up, or what does it involve signing up for the OC Spearos?
Oh, it's easy. You just go to ocspearos.org and there's a membership tab on top, and it's a very short form, name, address, couple questions about yourself, and then you sign up right there.
So for the people who, maybe it's been hard to, find justification to do a FII or any kind of training, because I know, Brett, you were spearfishing for 20 plus years before you ever took a training class. For those guys who, are in the older demographic, more the salty dogs, what did you learn when you did your class?
So for me, I had a lot of background in diving from work and rescue diving, doing rebreathers and things like that. And as far as the rescuing process and blacks out, it's very similar to when we have someone unconscious, obviously, while diving. The main thing why I did it was to, it's like anything. When you think that you know everything, you just stop learning. And you know what? Maybe I just kind of swallowed my pride. And what I found funny was that freediving wise, I was pretty bad. But I did learn a few things. And I'll be totally honest, I was doing Valsalva for 20 years. And then the guys were like, Frenzel. I'm like, well, Frenzel, if it ain't broke, why fix it, And it took me like 3 months to Frenzel. And then it was just like, you're an absolute moron. You didn't wow. Okay. So as far as that, like just learning that in itself and social media before all of this either. So that didn't help, but like that right there was worth it. And it made it so much more enjoyable. And then all of a sudden, more comfortable. And then you learn about like efficiency, you're diving better. And again, you can learn some of the stuff by reading a book and like, okay. But more importantly, for the older guys, number one, it's an excuse to go like practice diving. Number two, you might learn something, even if it's about 2%. And I'm sorry, as long as I'm going forward, I'm going in the right direction. And, I'd say it was worth it for me. I mean, my course was $350. I did it in Guam because I was there for work. And it was great. I don't regret it. And the thing is, yeah, I can share it with other people, but you can educate other people on it and you can encourage them. And then you get the community aspect. And when you get the community aspect, now you're diving with like-minded that know, right? And so you're all on the same page. And so you know what a loss of motor skills are, MCLC, whatever it is. And then you know what like someone looks like when they're coming up and they're not ready to black out, or if they do black out. You've repped it, you've rehearsed it, and you've seen it, and you've sat down and like actually been structured like instructed on it. Like I have through my work, but I think I'm kind of unique because I was in that situation for work, and it happened to me at work one time. But I think for a lot of people, even if you're older, that you don't really know what you don't know until you just swallow your pride and just check it out. Who cares? We're supposed to be doing this for fun, not we shouldn't be dying. And not only that, like we shouldn't be like making it. It sure is a lot more fun when you can enjoy the dive. It took me 20 years to enjoy the dive, and I really equate that to the freediving course that I took. That's the long end of it, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are intimidated by the course too, because like the FII course level 1 will certify you to 20 meters, which is 66 feet, and to a 3-minute static breath hold. Well, people hear that and they think, there is no way I'm getting 66 feet, and there is no way that I can hold my breath for 3 minutes. And that turns them off and just says, well, I can't do that course because I can't do those things. And so they never even attempt it. Well, what people need to understand is the course certifies you to those levels. So you don't need to make it to the 66 feet, and you don't need to make it to the 3-minute static breath hold. But what you do need to do is you'll learn the techniques to be able to safely do both of those things. And as long as you can demonstrate that you can do those skills, even if you don't make it to those specific milestones, you will pass the course. And exactly like Brett said, I mean, I had the exact same experience when I took my level 1. It gave me a level of comfort in the water, both comfort at depth, gave me a level of comfort, within my breath hold. And the biggest thing, the most humbling thing about taking a course is when you leave and you now have that knowledge that you didn't know you didn't have before. And like Brett said, the signs and symptoms of an LMC where maybe you wouldn't before. The signs and symptoms of somebody who's about to black out, and you know what to do with it. And the best thing about it all is once you're certified, any instructor is going to welcome you to come back in their class while they're running a class and get more reps doing it. That is just something that will happen, that you will be invited to. So it's not just like you take this 2-day course and then, all right, good luck, hope you remember. You now have the opportunity to keep practicing it over and over again as many times as you want. In a community, like Brett said, like-minded community who is interested in practicing those things with you that you're interested in practicing.
Brad, are you leaning towards in the future having a fully certified Spearo club here in Southern California?
Yeah, that's always been my personal goal with the club. I mean, as we all know, we're the largest club of this type in the world. And then to be able to put that feather in our cap that says, and by the way, 100% of us are freedive certified, that talks to a level of seriousness of how we take not only the safety of our sport, but the efficiency of our sport. I mean, once you're certified, you just are a better diver. You have the skills to be a better diver faster. Like, I'm not going to say that you're now a better diver than somebody who's been in the water forever, but you've got there faster. And for me, I think that would be the greatest thing that this club can do. We've been around for 10 years. The greatest thing that we could do would be to reach a goal of 100% certification. As we grow, we're growing every day. I mean, every single day we get new members. Year round, we get new members every day. So if we can continue to gain membership and have all of those people certified, that would be groundbreaking in the global community of spear fishermen.
Brian, that's a good point, though, what you said as far as getting better faster. And I can attest to this firsthand. I mean, I felt like I was in a bubble for the first 15 years I was diving. Never on social media, no network. I just had my buddies from work, and we went out and swam around a kelp bed and see what swam in front of us. And in the last 5 years, I mean, literally that was it. I just enjoyed being in the water. I didn't care. The last 5 years, the learning curve has been pretty much vertical, just when meeting everybody and staying humble, like you're saying, and going places and realizing, like, I don't know everything. Teach me. I'll be a student. And it's great. And it's good to take that knowledge and give it back to everybody. But like, I wouldn't have that knowledge, and I don't think a lot of us would if we hadn't just put it out there and swallow pride and do exactly what you're saying. I mean, it's just the learning curve is just real steep at that point. So I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, John, you just recently, within the past couple of weeks, took your level 1. Isn't that correct?
Yep, I took it with Calkins.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, like, before and after taking it?
Well, when I first got started, the old guard that I kind of was hitting up on social media would tell me, don't take the class because it'll make you too confident and you might put yourself in a bad situation. So I took that advice. I basically was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to kind of stay within my 35 feet depth and kind of just see what comes my way. But it wasn't until going into the OC Spearos and then kind of, having Jeremy be like, all right, let's do it. Let's go. And then I did it. And I'm like, wow, I'm glad I did it now, because everything's going to compound over time. So I'm glad I got the knowledge earlier versus the opposite, right? Which is Brett seeing all of this vertical growth, 20 years later. I can have a little bit more of a gradual arc earlier. So I thought it was amazing. I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
Well, and think about that logic from the old guard that you're talking about. What are they actually saying? They're saying, don't go get certified because it'll make you too cocky. All right, dig into that statement. How else do you learn? Is it by trial and error? What does trial look like? And what does error look like? Like, I'm sorry, but in my book, those are two unacceptable things. And that is just somebody who's trying to be a tough cowboy. All that they're doing is trying to put forth some sort of cowboy mentality to the young guy, so the young guy will look up at him and say, oh yeah, that guy's a badass. Well, all that guy is doing is telling you to, hey, get in the water and go figure it out. And by going and figuring it out, it's continue to do what's working for you and don't do what's not working for you. But that thing that's not working for you could kill you. So it's an entirely asinine, and anybody that follows the OC Spearos Facebook page will see me having this debate at least 5 or 6 times a year with, like you say, some of the old guard. And I will not back down on this. It's a ridiculous statement.
I mean, that to me, and I may not make too many friends off this, but that's right up there with that ignorant statement of, I don't know that shit, I'm keeping it real. Like, don't educate yourself so you can keep it real dumb. I mean, like, okay, cool, dude, but I don't understand how the whole point of this life is to progress. You have to progress. Like, well, maybe I'm just weird, A-type personality, but like, in order to progress, you can progress really dumb, or you can be stagnant, or you can progress smartly and with an education, some sort of education, to where you get where you're going in a safe manner. Like, nobody just wakes up and dives to 150 feet. Like, I sure as hell don't. I never have. But that's basically, I don't really have anything positive to say about that. And I understand where people are coming from. I get it. But I mean, the whole thing is to get better and get better safely and get better as a community. And the only way you do that is, I would like to be aware. I wouldn't want to stick my face in the sand. I'd like to be aware of what the dangers are. Yeah, I know there's great white sharks out there. Okay. That doesn't mean like, oh, I'm not going to stay out of the water because, then I can go in the water and spearfish and get eaten by a shark. Okay, whatever. It just doesn't, I don't get it. I mean, I think about some of the messages learned in the military and try to apply that same logic, and there'd be a lot of really poorly trained people. That's all I got to say about that, I guess.
Well, also, there was a time early in my diving where, when I saved my buddy at the rigs with the shallow water blackout, the only reason I knew to even stay and knew that he was about to black out was because I watched the free Ted Hardy safety video, where he at least put like a video of what a loss of motor control looked like. And I saw it and I was like, oh shit, there it is. And I was there to save my buddy. But to be honest, it's like, if I didn't have that, I might've just been one of those dive partners who was like, he's fine. He's chill. I'll just be over here looking for my fish. And it's gotten to the point where now I almost always dive with somebody who's been certified. And now that I find people that are more and more certified, it's just kind of like, oh, I know you take safety as seriously as I do. I don't care enough about fish to not come home. Like, as much as like, I know there could be some risks associated, but it's like, if I didn't, at least if I'm going to go out, I want to say I tried to be safe. And that's why I like with Ryan, some bad things happen, but he at least was diving with certified people. He knew the risks. So I'm just like, to the guys who are just like, go wing it. It's too dangerous to wing it. You can mess up and bad things happen when you aren't winging it. So why be in the camp of like not trying to be better? So yeah, no, I think everybody should be certified. how can people find out more information about this?
So there will be, in the next week or so, the application will be online on the OC Spearos webpage. In the meantime, what they can do is follow the OC Spearos and Friends Facebook page. We'll be posting notifications there. They can always check in on the ocspiros.org webpage as well for updates. But really the most efficient way to keep an eye on when things are coming out will be through the Facebook page. And Diane had mentioned the fundraiser auction raffle that's going to be coming up here in the beginning of November. Keep an eye out for that. And we'll have applications up soon.
Diane, is there anything else you'd like to share?
I think that covers it. I mean, just kind of bouncing off of what we were talking about as far as educating yourself. I mean, why not take that extra step to be just a little safer than you currently are? I mean, I know a lot of people out there who think they know what they're doing and they know they're being safe. But the ocean has so much to offer, and I mean, it's an infinite, experience to learn from, and there's a lot of unexpected things. So I think just arming yourself with that knowledge, you can't go wrong. I mean, and even speaking as the wife of a spear fisherman, I mean, I think even for families to have some of the knowledge and learn more about this as well. I mean, I wish I knew a little bit more prior to, before this happened. And I could have talked to him about it, or maybe I wouldn't have been so annoyed at how much the certification class cost, or, so I think educating not only, spearos and spear fishermen and spear women, but, their families as well. I think it's, it'll help give a little bit of comfort to the people who are waiting for you to come home. Yeah.
I just have one more thing to the people who might not take the class just yet, and they're going to go to lobster opener. Brett, what safety tips do we got to at least have them do a quick refresher before they get in the water?
Yeah, John, that's a good point. I covered it a little bit before. I did a podcast with Robert Payne right after Ryan's accident, and I kind of talked about it, and I learned this stuff from diving in bad viz at work and diving around the line and all this stuff. And the biggest thing is you want to minimize the amount of stuff you have on you. And that includes anything in your weight belt other than weights and your knife. Make sure you have your knife properly hidden so nothing gets snagged on it. And I don't dive with a bag. I'll clip my bag on a float. To be honest, even after all these years, I get anxiety when I have even put a fish stringer on my waist. I don't, and because I have been tangled up at work because of certain situations, but I don't want anything on me that's going to cause a loss of concentration, like that extra make you stay that extra 5 seconds at the bottom, or that is going to make me nervous where I can't even dive that good. It's just not worth it. And you want to streamline yourself as much as possible. And the other thing is go with your buddy, one up, one down. And the reason why, you guys, lobster season, there's boats everywhere. Everybody's going to be out there. It's nighttime. Bring chem lights with you. Just be aware, right? Because there's nothing worth, I think we've all been there, when you go down and you hear a boat and you're like, oh, dang, when do I come up, or am I going to come up and get hit? And it's nice to have a buddy over you that can either help signal the guy or, let you know via friggin' pulling on the line that you're going down if you have to, just to let you know, get an extra set of eyes. And again, the biggest thing is those bags are great. I know exactly the Mutiny Dive Co. bags. They're awesome for the lobster. They don't hang up in there at all. But that big, large mesh tends to snag on things more firmly, I will say, than the smaller mesh net. The smaller mesh net seems like it snags on a lot of stuff, but it just kind of drags and comes off. The big mesh stuff seems to really hold on. And this isn't bashing anybody's products or anything like that. I just prefer any bag. I just clip it to the float, bottom line, and be safe, right? It's not worth it. Go out for lobster in the day. Little trade secret. They're lobster out in the day. And the reason why I'm going to get into it, okay, is because if anybody's ever pig hunted, pigs get down on the wallow in the day and they stay hunkered down. So do the lobster. So if you can find something other than the jetty where the holes are hiding in, you can go there and find 5 lobster on one little rock And if you go there at night, because I've experienced this myself, they're out and about, and it's hard to get them. When they're on the road, stay there. They think they're safe, and you can get all 5 of them. Okay, that's all I got. That's my little tidbit. Okay? And if anybody has any questions, and I'm dead serious, hit me up on social media, Spear Factor, whatever the hell. Just hit me up, and I'll help you out. I don't know everything, but I know a lot of guys that know a lot of stuff, and I've had a lot of experience, and I'll share anything I have with you guys. That's it.
Perfect. Brad, you got anything else?
Yeah, just reiterate the dive bag on your float. I started diving like that last year, and I will admit that the first 5 or 6 dives, I hated it. It was a pain in the ass. I thought, there's no way this is going to stick. And then after those 5 or 6 dives, you forget about it. And now you realize, like Brett said, you're more streamlined. You're not thinking about that extra weight around your waist. You're now able to control your buoyancy. Once you put 7 bugs, in a bag on your waist, let's call them even like a 2-pound bug. All right, you've just added 14 pounds to your weight belt that probably had 14 pounds on it to begin with. So you're no longer positively buoyant anywhere. You've also got that mesh bag where, little lobster legs or big lobster legs are poking out of and grabbing hold of anything that you get by. And they will grab hold and snag you on things. So it's the bag on your float is big. Also, communicate with your dive partner. Talk to them about what the plan is. Talk to them about where you're going to be diving, what direction. Discuss a reasonable interval of time where, like, hey, if we haven't talked every 5 minutes and given a okay, let's talk. Let's shout at each other, shine the light, have some light signals, like I'm flashing my light 3 times means this, come up with your own language so you guys are able to discuss, keep in contact and know what's going on. 3 flashing lights means a boat coming, so just talk and streamline.
Thanks, guys. Diane, thank you for sharing your story. Brad, thanks for helping get this fund up and running. And Brett, thanks for being the old salty dog who bloomed into a butterfly and is now certified.
I don't know about that. Losing hair, I don't know.
Hey, come on.
Oh, that's all right.
All right, I'll put the show notes and links to the shirts and the fund and my on my podcast, and I'm assuming Brett, you'll do the same.
Absolutely. Yep.
Perfect, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity having us on here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Diane.
No, thank you. Thank you for listening to the story and just helping promote safety and the fund as well.